How about a brand new live Locked On Lions squad show? Welcome in,
Locked
Jake
On
Riepma.
Pistons, Jake. Locked On Pistons, Jake.
Let's go. See, I've just programmed radio ready to go, just like a machine. Hot start to this one. What show are we doing here? It's the Locked On Pistons one. There we go. All right, we got Khahil, host of Locked On Pistons, two-time NBA champion Lindsey Hunter. And hey, I traveled, turned the ball over, everything else. Over to you, Khahil.
CADE Cunningham, I did not think he would play again this regular season, but he's back, man.
Yeah, it was good to see him out on the floor, man. It looked like he was in pretty good shape. He didn't look bad.
This is Locked On's Pistons Squad Show, the twice-a-week show where Pistons talk gets real. No filters, no fluff. Just raw takes, sharp opinions, and straight-up passion for the game. The way only Locked On Podcast Network knows how. Let's drop some dimes and squad up. The Pistons Squad Show starts now.
And here we go. Let's try this again. It's April in the D. How about that? I chalk it up to April in the D. Fired up to be with you, Jake Riepma, alongside Khahil, host of Locked On Pistons, and Lindsey Hunter. What a show we have on tap for you today. CADE is back. The Pistons, I think we can say, are in full playoff mode, cruising to that win over the Milwaukee Bucks on Fan Appreciation Night. Lindsey Hunter, you were in the building, so we'll start with you taking it all in, and boy, did it look good with all the guys back on the court.
As I said to the one obnoxious Milwaukee Buck fan, easy work tonight. Easy work. Pistons made it look easy from start to finish. No struggles. Everybody got out, healthy. Duran looked like a monster as usual. And hey, I think we're going into the playoffs on a positive note, especially with CADE coming back and looking pretty good. He didn't, he wasn't forcing anything last night. He was playmaking like he normally does. Scored when he had to. Really didn't have to score much. But the Pistons look good, man. I'm excited. I'm ready for this playoff run to start.
Yeah, I think they're heading into the playoffs feeling really good. I think they ended the season, or the season hasn't ended, but they're ending the season about as good as you could have expected them to, playing as well as they did without CADE, securing up one seed, and then getting CADE back before the regular season ends. I don't know if they could have asked for a better ending to the regular season.
That's exactly what I was thinking, where you draw up how you want the last couple of games to go. And we talked about on the last couple of shows of, hey, you got the number one seed clinched, you're in cruise control, but now the element of continuity and just getting everybody on the same page is so huge. And as I believe someone pointed out in the comments, they did. Braylon Dennis, shout out to you. 2 more wins till 60 with 2 games to play. We can have a little fun. The 60-game benchmark is still in play. What an accomplishment that would be.
Yeah, I mean, if they got the 60 wins, that, again, it just goes back to what we talked about last episode. I brought up that it's crazy to think that this team is at a point where we're talking about could they win 60 games after where they've been 2 years ago. See this kind of turnaround is just crazy. So 1 seed, MVP discussions, 2 All-NBA players potentially, 60 wins. Like, it's been a crazy season.
Yeah, I'm not really focused on the 60 wins. It would be great if they could do that. Who knows how much they're going to play the starters or our main guys. So that'll, remain to be seen. But I'm just excited, and I'm amped up because I just feel like we're getting disrespected nationally.
Oh, definitely.
I'm like, okay, let our guys be healthy. Let's make sure we ramp it up for the playoffs. And I hope we just run through everybody.
100%.
I completely agree about the disrespect. It's insane what's going on. I was going to bring it up on the pod too. I have a few rankings in front of me right here. I'm looking at that.
Let's go right there. You got it right in front of you, because I think that, to Lindsey's point, and based on what we know about this team and just the makeup of this team, the mentality, they're gonna thrive on that. It's like throwing gasoline on a fire. It's just gonna be the lighter fluid and part of the fuel that, not that they need anymore, but it's going to be added to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're going to go right there now, I'll go ahead and pull out these standings or these expectations or these guesses, these predictions. I've seen a few from ESPN where they talk, and Fox, talking about, we have the Pistons behind the Cavs and the Knicks and the Celtics. Yeah, and the Celtics. The teams out west, I don't have a problem with people having OKC ahead. OKC's defending champs. And the West at the top, I don't really care about that. Jokic, SGA, I get that. The teams in the East, having them behind all of Knicks, Cavs, and Celtics, I think is utterly insane to me. One of my guys, Jason Timp, he works over at The Volume with Colin Cowherd. He hosts a podcast. He put out his rankings today of contenders, and out of the 9 teams, he has the Pistons last. He has them behind Houston, Cleveland, New York, Minnesota, Denver, Boston. He's not the only one. Jason's my guy. I've had him on the podcast. He's a cool dude. But it's not just him. Everyone's doing this. And my thing is, I don't get what box have the Pistons left unchecked? Like what else could they have possibly checked off? When CADE went down, it was they don't have any good players outside of CADE. It's just, CADE's carrying everybody. They're a bunch of bums and tryhards being carried by CADE. Then CADE goes down. They go 9-2. Asar wins another Defensive Player of the Month. Duren puts up 24 points on insane efficiency. And now it's Detroit. It's, will CADE be healthy come playoffs? Will he even play in the playoffs? Now he comes back before the regular season. He's looking good. He got 2 games to knock off the rest, and it's still like, you haven't won a championship yet. So it's like, I don't know what box left they could check off that they haven't checked already. They've been the 1 seed since November, Lindsey.
It's the same old thing, and like you said, Jake, this is something that I think is going to fuel our guys. I think our guys are going to look and see the disrespect and say, hey, we've been the best team in the East for the majority of the season. We've played the best. We got an MVP candidate on our team. We have 2 All-Stars. We have potential Defensive Player of the Year. Like, what more do we have to have? Like, it's crazy. It's insane. And I'm looking at other teams like, okay, Cleveland, honestly, really? Like, okay, Cleveland, they're a threat. They're good. They have 2 guys who could take over games. I don't, but defensively, I'm not scared of them. They don't scare me one bit. You look at Boston. Okay, Boston is Boston. They're going to – Missoula has those guys playing great. But I still think we can match up with them. And New York, we should have beat New York last year. And I'll never believe in a New York Knicks team, ever. I don't care how good they are. So for us to be talked about like we are just an afterthought is crazy to me.
Yeah, and it's like you mentioned these teams. This is I'm not even saying, like I said this a few weeks, like right in the middle of the stretch without CADE that they were playing well. I had said, like, I'm not sitting here saying that people outside the church should have them number 1 contenders in the league. I understand that every team in the league has some flaws. I understand if you want to point out some of the flaws the Pistons have to be like, yeah, I may be like the Spurs or OKC better, or maybe you do like Boston better. I can see the arguments for it, right. But having them behind, it's not a few. Having them behind literally all of them, behind all of them is just crazy to me. If you want to have Boston ahead, I can mess with it. If you want to maybe say Boston, and I like Cleveland's experience, I mean, okay, I guess. Having them behind Boston, Cleveland, New York, Minnesota, who, by the way, is dealing with the knee injury to Anthony Edwards. We don't know when he's going to be 100%. They're in the West. Houston, their big thing, the Pistons' big criticism is, we worry about their half-court offense, and we worry about their shooting. That's the main criticism you hear from people outside Detroit. Houston's worse at both of those things in the Pistons. They have a worse half-court offense, they have worse shooting, and they're a worse defense. So how in the hell are they ahead of the Pistons? Like, it's like all of these. I'm not saying the Pistons have to be number 1 on everyone's list, but having them at the bottom is just like this spit in the hand, slap across the face. It's crazy.
Right. I like you said, Khahil, I can see people saying, okay, OKC, Denver, San Antonio. Okay, I can understand that. I can understand why they would say Boston. I don't believe it because I think, your record says who you are. And I know they got JT came back late. So they think that's a big, plus. But this team has proven, man, that regardless of what they've went through this season, they deserve more respect than that. And I think they're going to prove it in the playoffs.
No, 100%. The other thing that I kept going back to in my mind that it just is replaying over and over again that how gratifying it is when you're doubted and slept on, and then you have the opportunity to even as a number 1 seed, just the way we're programmed to think about sports. I mean, whatever it is, the number 1 seed, very rarely do you think of as an underdog, and especially a team that's been the number 1 seed all year long. and it's a unique situation for the Pistons to be in. And I think we know, I mean, even without being in the locker room, we know the players are leaning into this. Lindsey and Ku, I'm curious both of your thoughts. Do you think JB and the coaching staff, are reminding the guys, and if that plays into just kind of the psychology of it all? And not that you need to get a team ready to play, but it's certainly a conversation to be had between coaching staff and players.
I mean, from someone outside the locker room, I would think that, listen, I'm a very competitive person. I'm not an NBA player, but I'm a very competitive person. And I always would use like trash talk, whether it be in anything, literally basketball, football, video games, literally anything. You talk about my career, am I as good as this person? Like, I use that talk all the time to like kind of motivate myself and whatever. So I'd have to assume that players in the locker room, especially in competitive sport like basketball, coming up on the playoffs, I'd have to assume that they're paying attention and they're using that as motivation. But Lindsey, you would know better.
Of course. The coaches don't have to say anything. You hear all the chatter. When we got to the finals and we were playing the Lakers, I didn't hear not one person pick. Well, I think it was one guy that picked us. Who was that? I can't remember. They did a little special on it. But other than that, not one individual picked us to win. Like, nobody. And I tell fans this all the time. I was like, there's no Detroit fan that thought we was going to beat the Lakers. Don't sit there and tell me you thought we were going to beat the Lakers. You didn't. Because I didn't hear not one person say, oh, man, we got Detroit 4-1. You know what I'm saying? Nobody. So you hear that, and it does give you a little extra like, okay, we'll see. And the way this team is built and the mentality of our team, of course, they're going to have a chip on their shoulders.
And you know what's interesting about that is that my freshman year of college, we had to do a project in my English class, and we had to go back and basically it was a research project about an event that you're into, whatever, blah, blah. I picked the 04 team. I wanted to talk about how the Pistons, because growing up, I had always heard that no one believed the Pistons were going to win in 04. No one believed that they would beat the Lakers. And someone who was very young, I think I was like 6'7" whenever
please don't do that. I hate that. What is he? What is even that? What is it? Nobody knows what it is to this day.
That's part of it. That's the point.
That's why I hate it even more.
Yeah. Ku's in that generation. Don't loop me in with that. I'm right in the middle.
But the point was that, like, I grew up and I was always told that was the case, but I always felt like maybe it was overblown a bit. Like, no way a team wins 4-1, and you're telling me nobody believed. Like, maybe that's just a little overblown trying to do the Detroit versus everybody thing. And I went back and did the research. I had to make this whole research project. And like you said, Lindsey, I remember there was only one person, I believe, on like the how NBA going into the finals, they'll pull people from Fox, ESPN, all whatever, see what their picks are. Only one person picked the Pistons. And I remember, I think it was an article I used in the research from David Aldridge when the Pistons won. And the way they were talking about was like, it was the biggest shock in sports history. It was, no one thought, like, how did this happen? It was like, I remember reading it, I'm like, no way they were disrespected this bad. My God,
yes.
It was like you were a bunch of preschoolers going against, like, what?
Dude, the broadcast were talking like you go back and watch it, and they were like, it's a foregone conclusion. The Lakers are going to – I mean, it was disrespectful, like distasteful disrespect. And I even remember some of the I think Rick Fox said something like, we split in L.A., and he said something to the extent like, oh, yeah, we'll pop champagne bottles in Detroit. Like they was going to beat us in Detroit.
Yeah, because that was the old 2-3-2 format. So he was implying that they'd win 4 straight.
Yes. Yeah. How'd that work out for him?
Yeah, no doubt. I love it. Man, I'm getting fired up. But we got 2 more regular season games. I do want to talk a little bit more about last night, just the implementation of not only CADE, but Isaiah Stewart playing 11 minutes in the game and everything else. So we'll keep it rolling on the Locked On Pistons Squad Show. Don't go anywhere. Back in just a moment. This episode of the Locked On Pistons Squad Show is brought to you by our good friends over at Wayfair. Hey, it's Way Day. Way Day is here, and if you've been thinking about upgrading your space, this is the time to do it. We're talking about some of the best deals of the year on furniture, decor, outdoor essentials, everything you need to refresh your home. How about that? Now, listen up, because during the Way Day, Wayfair is offering up to 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything. Let me say that again, 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything, up to 80% off, making it easy to find pieces that fit your style and your budget. Super easy to filter by style, size, and price, so you're not wasting time scrolling. The reviews and photos help you feel confident in what you're getting, and Wayfair verified products are vetted by specialists, so you know exactly the quality you're getting. Whether it's upgrading a room, adding outdoor pieces, or just finding something that ties your space together, it makes the whole process simple from start to finish. Wayday is the sale to shop the best deals in home. We're talking up to 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything. Head over to wayfair.com on April 25th through the 27th to shop Wayday. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right. I had my eyes on the 22.5 point spread I took the Pistons to cover on, and it was mostly in the balance the entire way. And by the end of the fourth quarter, they were cruising to cover.
You're crazy, man. Those large spreads, I stay away from those large spreads, man. The backdoor cover could be absolutely lethal, dude.
No, I don't know who it was. Somebody, Milwaukee hit a couple threes, and I was like, and then you start. The worst part is me trying to do mental math in my head. I'm like, 22.5, especially when there's like it's 100 something to 90 something. I'm like, all right, how much is that really is? But they covered, which was very important. 137, 111. Obviously, the biggest headline, CADE being back. We discussed that a little bit, but also Isaiah Stewart and just getting in touch with what this team is going to look like in the postseason. I mean, not just that one game solves it all, but it's great to see everybody out on the floor at the same time to start to get those rotations down.
Yeah, just getting both Stu and CADE back before the playoffs, I think, is a pretty big deal. They both looked in shape, about as good in shape as you could have expected people who were out for as long as they were, dealing with what they were dealing with. Stu spoke about it before the game that he felt like that he had been dealing with injuries or some bumps and bruises, whatever, for a minute, but he was trying to push through it so he could get the 65 game rule. But eventually he sat down, they talked as a team, and they were like, listen, I want to be there for the playoffs. I didn't play in the playoffs last year. I want to be there in the playoffs. The team needs me. I'm going to do the team thing, and I'm going to sit out, even though that will disqualify me from 65 games. I won't be able to make an all-defensive team. They need me in the playoffs. I want to be in the playoffs. It is what it is. So I thought Stu, in the minimal minutes he played yesterday, I think he looked springy. I thought he looked really good. You could tell in the few games before he sat down that he was moving gingerly. He was grabbing at his leg, his knee a lot. So good to see Stu getting some minutes in before the playoffs. I think he'll be in good shape come playoff time, and they need him for sure. And obviously, CADE just getting these reps in, knocking off some of the rest before the playoffs start is, again, we mentioned it earlier, best case scenario for the Detroit Pistons. I did not think that he was going to be back before the regular season ended. Everything I had heard early on was that they were completely set in on game one playoffs. That's what we expect to happen. So for him to come back this early is crazy. So 22 days, actually, he recovered. 22 days he recovered in. So that's a big deal. So, and I thought he looked good. There was a few times where you could see, he got the ball knocked away from him from behind one time, and he got like ripped up another time where it was like, okay, yeah, he's getting back into the flow of things. But he was largely efficient. He was finding his teammates open. There's a few plays I want to bring up later that kind of just show immediately just what having CADE on the floor means to you. But it's a big deal. I think it's big for the Pistons. They get both those guys in before the playoffs to knock off some of the rest.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I think watching Stu go out and get his feet wet again and kind of get his juices flowing to go back and play the way he plays, he just establishes such an identity for us. Like his physicality and his mindset alone is just, it's an unbelievable boost for the Pistons, especially going into the playoffs, because just watching all the games being played now and the way they've been reffing games, they're preparing to let them play during the playoffs. It's going to be a physical brand of basketball in the playoffs, which suits the Pistons perfectly. So having Stu is just vital for us to have that identity going into the playoffs. And like you said, seeing CADE out there getting his fluidity back, getting his rhythm back these next two games, I think he'll get better and better and hit the ground running when the playoffs come. I'm glad he got back. I kind of felt like he would come back and play. So it's good to see him out there looking the way he looked. And with him and Duren, the connection they have, I think you watching Jenkins plays differently than Cade. They're two different players. Of course, Cade has the size and length, but Jenkins was missing a lot of those lob opportunities with Duren during this stint when he was playing, when he was starting. Cade really very rarely misses those. And that just adds a whole nother dimension. That's going to give us another open 1 or 2 jump shots out of the corner because tag guy has to come, and maybe we'll hit some threes. And I know everybody's worried about our shooting, saying, oh, we're going into the play, we can't shoot it. It's really, I don't worry about the percentage-wise right now. I just want timely threes. I just want threes when we need them, like big threes. Forget all we're gonna shoot 50%. No, let's make them when we have to make them. You know what I'm saying? And if we do that, we'll be fine.
So, real quickly, I thought to the physicality point in the playoffs, I thought last year's playoffs too was actually pretty physical.
They were.
I really enjoyed watching last year's playoffs because they did allow teams to get physical, especially the 2 teams that made it to the finals. OKC and Indiana were up in teams 94 feet from the basket. I mean, Nembhard, Neesmith, Caruso, Cason, like they were all over guys. So I thought it was fun to watch. It was a lot of physicality. The shooting point, over the last 20 games, the Pistons are 3rd in the league in 3-point percentage over the last 20 games. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that obviously Duncan's a good shooter, but I think a lot of that has to do with Cade was coming around. He started off the season like the first 20 games shooting poorly, but ever since then he's been hovering around like 39% from 3. Kevin Huerter has been over the last 10 games, he's shooting, I believe, 37% from 3. So they went out and got another shooter who can shoot. Javonte Green is hitting 50%, guys, from the corners. 50% from the corners. I mean, that's crazy on the season. So I think acquiring Huerter, Cade improving as the seasons went on, from beyond the arc. I wonder, just obviously they don't have as much shooting as other teams, but I wonder if the last 20 games with Huerter now, if we're seeing that they've acquired just enough shooting. Also, Tobias is starting to hit a few more. I think he's shooting 37% over the last 10 games. I wonder if they're getting to a point just enough to where it's not even much of a concern. We'll see, though. Lindsey, I love the point you brought up about Cade opening up more lobs for Duren. You see that more in how it forced the tag defender to come down and leaves the corner open. That was one of the plays I was going to mention that you saw in this game that you just didn't see with Danis. Now, Danis was incredible during the stretch, not trying to take anything away from him.
No, it just plays differently.
Right. And teams have a different level of respect, obviously, for CADE Cunningham. There was a play in the 3rd quarter that I wrote down on my phone that Cade runs a pick and roll going to his left at the top of the key, and the Bucks instantly trap him, blitz him, and it's like 3 feet beyond the 3-point line. And you just wouldn't see teams do that versus Danis. You don't see teams do that against another ball handler. And what that opens up now is Duren's getting an easy slip to the basket on a 4-on-3. He gets it around like the high post area, diving to the basket. You got on the weak side, Asar cutting down the baseline. So then that puts the weak side defender in a position of, do I take away this lob to Asar on the weak side, or do I run to the corner who Duncan Robinson is now filling in the corner space that was left by Asar because they know how to time it really well. Him and Duren have really good chemistry with that. And Milwaukee basically decided yesterday, we're taking away the Asar lob. And what that left open was Duncan, corner 3. Duren was finding him consistently. And that's something they killed the Knicks with, especially in games 5 and 6 last year. So I think that's something that the chemistry between those 3 guys and how they're able to play off of the gravity Cade creates is what also makes up for the fact that Duren and Asar aren't great shooters, is because Cade creates so many 2-on-1 situations, so many 4-on-3 situations, and both those guys are such good passers, cutters to the rim. You have a shooter around. I think that's just a dimension that Cade obviously brings that even while Danis was playing super well, you just don't see, obviously, because they don't have the same respect as a top 7-8 player in the NBA does.
Right.
I do think as well, just the getting back to, and I've said it a couple different times, getting back to what the lineup's going to look like in the postseason is just so valuable. And as you start to, I do want to point out one of these comments here. We'll get to the comments later in the program as well. But between these lines, Huerter more than just a shooter, plays with IQ, cuts, drives. I feel like, and you guys would be able to speak to this more than me, but the basketball IQ, the cohesiveness, everything else on this team shows up in a lot of ways where they can beat you in a multitude of ways. And that's why when there are nights where the shooting is lacking, or there's certain components of any part of the offensive game that aren't necessarily as prominent as others, they have different options to pivot to, and they have different ways to beat you offensively.
Yeah, I compared a lot to. Go ahead, Lindsey.
No, go ahead. Cool.
I was going to say, I compared the Pistons to, and they aren't as good as this team over the last few years. This team might end up being a historic team, but I really have compared them a lot to how OKC has built their team. OKC is incredible. They are, I mean, SGA is probably going to be the MVP. He's probably going to end up being an all-time, like, they're incredible. But the build in which the Pistons have went rivals a lot of OKC. Like, OKC has a very good superstar who creates a lot of good offense for them. But people who don't watch OKC enough don't really understand that they're not a high-volume three-point shooting team either. They're not the greatest three-point shooting team either. And last year in the playoffs, they weren't the best half-court team in the playoffs either. I think they fell from where they were during the regular season to in the playoffs. They were around like 5th or 6th half-court offense in the playoffs. But what they have is what you're talking about here, Jake, is why I think the Pistons really have kind of tried to mold themselves after OKC is they have a lot of guys who are able to attack closeouts, that are able to attack gaps and then make reads off of that. They're able to keep the defense constantly moving. Yep. Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, Jay Williams, whether it be Chet, SGA, all of these guys, Andrew Wiggins, who's the AJ Mitchell, all of these guys, few of them are like elite volume three-point shooters, but all of them are able to. The main thing is they're able to attack a closeout, run a secondary action, attack a gap, keep the ball moving, make the right read, and then that person who gets the pass is then able to make the next read and constantly keeps the defense having to move, and that opens up cuts, that opens up offensive rebounding, that opens up open shots, and they feast defensively. I've said this forever, since OKC really put this team together. They're like Golden State in the third quarters, like how Golden State would be like, oh my God, 1 minute they've hit 7 threes, you're down by 20. OKC does that, except they don't do it from threes. They do it from defense. A minute and a half, all of a sudden they've gotten 2 steals, they get 2 stops, they've gotten 12 points in transition. You look up the scoreboard, they're down 20, and they've only hit 1 3. And it's because they have guys who are able to turn defense into offense, attack closeouts, attack gaps, smart players who make the right reads. And I think that's what the Pistons are really building their team around. Not three-point shooting as much. You need a baseline of that, but more so defense to offense and smart players who are able to attack spaces created by the creators in the offense.
Cool. You make a great point, because watching the really good teams in the league now, everybody at first was trying to do the Boston Celtics thing. We're going to get 2 dynamic wings. We're going to surround them with shooters, when Boston was doing their thing. And then when OKC started getting really good, they had a bunch of great perimeter defenders, guys that could make basketball play, a superstar who could get 30 a night. And San Antonio has a bunch of wings. Now they have the monster down low that just erases all mistakes, but they have a bunch of wings and guards that can defend and attack and make the right. I watched them play one night. I think they passed the ball around about 5 or 6 times, and nobody wanted to shoot, but everybody wanted to make the best play for the next guy. And that's what I see with Detroit, is starting to evolve into something like that. And those are the teams I think that are going into the future, the way the NBA is going to be played, because everybody's not just jacking up a bunch of threes anymore. Golden State started that trend, and fooled everybody like they could play and win that way. And then, it kind of fizzled out a little bit, because you don't have Steph. You don't have Klay Thompson. You don't have, you know what I'm saying? You don't have that. So I think teams are morphing more into having different identities. And a lot of these teams' identity is defense. Those are the guys that are winning. Of course, Denver has, Jokic. Say less. I mean, he does everything, and CADE is kind of our Jokic in a guard, does everything. In half court, if you got a superstar in half court, your half court offense might not be great, but we got a guy we got 2 guys we can throw the ball to that can go make a play and get a bucket. And that's what it's going to boil down to in the playoffs.
Yeah, and just to back that point up even more, like, who are the guys or who are the teams that you consider contenders in the league, that majority of people are considering contenders? The one team that really gets threes up, and it fits their style because they have a lot of good three-point shooters, is Boston. Boston plays a very analytical game, but they have the players that suit it. They have, they have the personnel to do that kind of thing. You look at OKC's 13th in the NBA in three-point frequency. You look at San Antonio, they're 14th in the NBA in three-point frequency. You look at Denver, they're 17th in the NBA at three-point frequency. Now, they hit their open shots. They do hit the shots they get open. Denver's number 1 in the league in three-point percentage. OKC's 9th. San Antonio's 13th. So it's not like it's 3-point shooting does matter in the NBA. You do need to be able to space the floor.
Right.
There is a baseline that you do have to be able to hit, but it's not like Lindsey said, how it was maybe a few years ago when people thought that it was going to be. The 3-point era definitely has changed things. Even if you're not shooting a bunch of threes, it creates the spacing.
Right.
But the thought from a lot of people that all of a sudden you're going to see every team shooting 53s now because that's what it is. That's not so much what it is, one, and two, it's not really what analytics really want you to do either. It's kind of, you want to get layups. That's what Denver does incredibly well. Denver, because of Jokic, he forces so many doubles and makes so many good reads. And they have a guy like Aaron Gordon, who is another like quick decision maker, secondary playmaker who can make reads off of the advantage that Jokic makes. And that creates a lot of cuts to the basket, easy jumpers. Jamal Murray takes a lot of pull-up middies and stuff. So it's just about, it's more about creating that spacing and having players who are able to make the right decisions off of that spacing. I think that was what the Pistons really liked, going back to the comment with Herter. That's what they really liked about him, is that not only can he shoot, you want all of your players that are in your rotation in the playoffs to be someone that can make quick decisions and make the right decisions. That's like, I know I'm talking long here, but one of the players that got benched in like Indiana's playoff run last year was Benedict Mathurin. A lot of people like Benedict Mathurin. But one of the things that the reasons why Rick Carlisle, I think he talked about this after the season, that they didn't rely on Mathurin as much because he does have more individual scoring juice than a lot of the other players that they played, but he's not consistently making, like if Tyrese Halliburton drives the slot, kicks it out at the nail to Mathurin, he's more likely to catch it, hold, see if he can ISO, see if he can attack and score, rather than if a Nembhard or a Neesmith get it, immediately swing to the corner. Now you got that next advantage. Obi Toppin attacks and just keeps the thing going. That's why some players who are more individually scorers maybe aren't as valuable as guys who would just play the smart way and keep the ball moving, create open looks. So I think that's more so where the NBA is going right now, rather than just 3-point shooting. I know I talked for a minute there. I apologize.
No, the evolution of the game is such a fascinating conversation because it's not necessarily linear, but it's always changing, and there's always. And I think the point you made about analytics is so funny, and I'm guilty of this. You know, I hear analytics and I think, oh, you know, that just means shoot more threes. That can be a part of it, but it doesn't have to mean that way, you know. Or
I'm sure Lindsey, like when you were a coach, I think Lindsey's brought this up before. Really, what analytics want is, I think Lindsey brought layups, free throws, threes. But really, the point of spacing is to create more layups. Like that's the main point of it. You get 3-point shooting to space it out, so you can get a lot more layups. That's really what it's supposed to be about. See what OKC.
That's what it was supposed to be. It morphed into, because I remember we were taught run for layups. Well, the analytics overly influenced it to be we're running to the corners. But you see guys on.
That's what I'm laughing about.
Up and kicking it to the corner for threes on a fast break.
Yep.
Like, so I think it morphed into that, and it went a little overboard. And now I think it's coming back to the norm where basketball is starting to be identifiable by watching different teams and seeing like, oh, okay, you can tell by how San Antonio plays. You can tell how OKC plays. You know, you can tell.
Jake, I have one more statement. Sorry, I don't mean to keep the segment running. What Lindsey just mentioned is one of the more frustrating things I hear from people who are like, I guess you would call them talking heads or casuals, is that everyone in the NBA plays the same. I completely disagree with that. You can find teams, especially now, like Boston. Yes, especially now. Boston is the team. If you like seeing a bunch of threes get up, thrown up, Boston will give you that. Denver plays a completely different way than Boston does. Completely different way. San Antonio plays a completely different style of basketball than this team. Indiana last year was probably the most like unique team we've seen. This fast 7 seconds or less, 48 or 98 or 94 feet team. Pistons play completely different than this team. Like OKC plays completely different. Like you can find different styles of basketball throughout the top contenders now. So I feel like for people who say like, oh, I don't want to watch the NBA right now because everyone does the same thing. I mean, maybe everyone generates the same type of shots. Everyone wants a layup, but like everyone goes a different way of trying to do it. Jokic does it a different way than SGA does. Pistons do it a different way than the Spurs do. Spurs do it a different way than Boston. Like there's so many teams that play, and we didn't even bring up Houston, who plays maybe a nasty brand at this point. Like it's not a fun play maybe, but they play so like they have a Sengun posting up from the 3-point line, backing down, trying to create like you see different stuff throughout the NBA. But that was a quick rant.
No. Yeah, but I think everybody's saying that because of the 3-point infusion at the time, because everybody thought, hey, man, you can't win if you don't shoot a bunch of threes like Golden State. You know what I'm saying? That because they were so dominant.
Right.
Right.
And so I think that kind of over-influenced it a little bit. People ran with it, went crazy. Oh, analytics, we're going to shoot it. Why do you shoot a mid-range shot? That's the worst shot in basketball. You used to hear that all the time, And now you watch SGA, you watch, some of CADE, you watch these guys. They're living in the lane with mid-range jump shots, mid-range finishes.
SGA should be like, and I mean this by no offense, Lindsey, old heads should love SGA because SGA takes he plays like Jordan for real. Like he takes fade away and he takes like that's his whole diet. Yes. Jokic, floaters, middies, like he's incredible in that. KD, CADE, like even Tatum and Brown. Brown takes a bunch of like
Brown takes a bunch.
Yeah, you see all the great Kawhi. Kawhi has had an insane season. He lives in there, so it's like I end of rant. I've held the segment up way too long, but that's it.
Yeah, we can get to a break when Koo gives us the stamp of end of rant. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. We'll look at the upcoming schedule in just a second on Locked On Pistons Squad Show. All right, today's episode of the Locked On Pistons Squad Show is brought to you by our good friends at Gametime. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. And when I'm telling you that, it's true. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, well, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Gametime has the go-to app, and scoring tickets fast and without all the hassle is a part of all of that. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. I use the Gametime app all the time. All you do is pull up the app, pick an upcoming NBA game, and you can have tickets locked in within minutes. I love the all-in price up front. What a concept. There's no surprise fees at checkout. The price you see is the price you pay. I've definitely used the zone deals because sometimes you know what section you want to sit in Gametime. Well, they'll pick the seat with the best deal and you save big. Don't forget about the view from the seat, and you can see exactly what the view looks like before you make that buying decision, and it helps make the decision easy because you can see exactly where you're sitting. Great last-minute options as well, and you know what? Everything is quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use that code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. Two games left to get to 60, and we've had some comments on it. I think it's a fun little thing to shoot for. Why not? It's not life or death, but hey, Pistons with 2 games left in the regular season to try to get to 60, and it starts tomorrow night in Charlotte before the finale in Indianapolis against the Pacers. So what a way to look at a potential postseason opponent, depending on how it all plays out. A dangerous one at that, but that game against the Charlotte Hornets guys, certainly one to be making some notes on the matchups and what we see.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few comments that during the live that I've been reading them, and I'm sure we'll get to them a little bit later, but there's been a few talking about Charlotte that I thought were really interesting and just kind of building off what we were just talking about, or what I was just really ranting about, I guess we should say. Charlotte is one of those teams who gets a ton of threes up and they make a lot of them. And that opens yourself up to you, basically the saying you live and die by the three. Like one night, if they happen to be hot and hit 22 threes, you're probably going to lose that game. Like if a team hits 22 threes, you're probably going to lose that game. And they are the type of team who basically says, we may not be, even though I do think Charlotte is talented, they may sit there. We may not be as talented as the opposing team, but we will play the math game of, we're just going to shoot enough threes to if we're hot, we're going to beat you just because it's just going to be too many points. And you basically open up yourself to live or dying by the three. So, and Charlotte's one of those teams that can do that. So that's, I think, what makes them the scariest to me, is that there are one of those teams that can just go off and the Pistons could play perfectly. You look at the stats, she's like, oh, they've won everything. What happened? All of a sudden, I see, Charlotte hit 23 threes. I mean, like, what are you going to do? I don't think they can beat Detroit in a 7-game series. I'm really interested to see if they both play all their guys in this game together. But that's something I'm really watching for, because Hornets, that strategy is something that they've really built their whole season really on right now, especially since January. And because of the shooters they got, it's worked a lot. But as you go up against more and better competition, I think it's harder to replicate that. You're really relying on 3-point variance to really be on your side too often.
Yeah. And that's a team that it looks like we're going to end up playing them in the first round. It really looks that way. Who knows what's going to happen, but they are a team that's been hot. They've been playing well, and watching how they play, I guess I would call it an organized chaos.
Yeah.
because LaMelo plays a style of basketball. It almost looks like he's on a playground, but that's how he plays, and he's effective. Like he shot a floating 3-pointer one night. I said a floating 3-pointer. It wasn't a close one. It was way out there.
He tries some stuff, man.
And I give him credit, because one thing I love about, like, you watch how he developed. I think finally he's taking the game serious, but he developed his game on being able to free flow and do whatever and make any kind of mistake. And it has made him become he's a great passer. He can score. I mean, he's a really, really good young point guard. Now, maturity had to play a factor in it. And, he still will take a crazy, crazy shot every now and then. But watching their style of play, in contrast to the Pistons, can they do that for 4 games against us? Can they do that and maintain that?
Tough.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to be tough, because we're going to, Duran is going to destroy the interior.
Yeah.
Duran is going to ride out. He should be licking his chops, because nobody can stop him.
Yeah, their defense has been good since January 1st. It's one of those defenses, though, that I wonder in a playoff setting when you can strategize against. I don't think that it holds up. Maybe it does. Maybe I'm disrespecting them, but I don't think it's one of those. Once you get into a playoff setting, playoff series, I think there's spots you can pick out against them. They're not as big. Duran should be able to just completely dominate the paint, really, and just dominate the glass. The Pistons should win all of those categories. Yes. I really like Charlotte. I've loved watching them since January. I think they're I love LaMelo. Love watching LaMelo. Yeah. I'm really interested to watch this game. I hope they both play all their guys, and I hope it's going to be a fun game.
There's a little bad blood there too.
Yeah, that is true. They might have another fight. We might see some fights break out. But I think the Pistons are just too physical and too dominant in areas that Charlotte can't really keep up in. And I don't think they might be able to steal a game because of the 3-point shooting. But you're playing a dangerous game against a team that's able to dominate you in certain areas, to really put all your eggs into the basket of, we'll just outscore you by 60 from 3. That's tough to live by.
Right.
Yeah, I think what do they call it? The Beehive, Buzz City, and I think that's appropriate, as it kind of is an example of the way they play and the way that team is constructed there. But did like this comment from Richard DM4: as long as Detroit's bigs don't get suspended again, that's a comfortable. Which I know we laugh and we joke, but man, this is, and I think one of our very first episodes, I said something to the effect of, love these guys, but they're more effective on the court than being suspended. So that's it is a part of it. But we got one more segment left. We'll do a little Q&A, as we always do, to wrap it up, and then continue to close it out here on the live Locked On Pistons Squad Show. Don't go anywhere. Back in 60 seconds. All right, this episode of the Locked On Pistons Squad Show is brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, the skills, the experience, the location, all of it. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. You can be confident. You can be sure of it, because that is the power of Indeed. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Less stress, less time, more results when you need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is the job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of the Locked On Pistons Squad Show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go over to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about them on the Locked On Pistons Squad Show. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Today's episode of the Locked On Pistons Squad Show is also brought to you by BetterHelp. That's right. Financial stress is something a lot of people carry right now, and it's not just about the numbers. It can affect your sleep, your relationships, and your overall mental health in ways that build up over time. And the reality is, struggling with money doesn't mean you failed. Sometimes it means you haven't had the right kind of support. It's something that you think about from time to time. I know I've thought about it and how easy it is to put pressure on yourself financially without really talking about it. The stress that comes with trying to figure everything out on your own, maybe the expectations that you have to be and have everything together. And how about that pressure that can spill into other areas of your life? And therapy isn't about financial advice. It's about working through the stress, the anxiety, and the emotions that come with it. With over 30,000 licensed therapies and licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served, BetterHelp makes it easier to get matched and start focusing on what you need. When life feels overwhelming, therapy can help. Sign up and get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Final segment of the program. Jake Riepma, host of Locked On Pistons, Khahil, and two-time NBA champion Lindsey Hunter with you. The Q&A. And you know what? There's a lot of people wanting to get in on the comments. There was one question earlier. Let's see if I can find it. If you've got one in the meantime, Ku, by all means, take it away. Because there's one in here that I can't find it right now, but give me.
There was a few questions I saw from people asking about, is Charlotte the matchup we're going to have now? So while you're looking for the one, I'll just go ahead and answer that one. Lindsey said that it looks like they're going to be playing against Charlotte. That is what it's looking like. They're 9th right now. Now they're only a half game behind Philly, so they could technically get still to the 8th spot to where they can fight for the 7th in the play-in. But if they end up finishing 9, they can only get so high. In I think they're maxed at 8, so they can only get to the 8th seed. So right now it's looking like that's the most likely option. I don't think they'd lose to the Heat. So I think it's looking like either Charlotte or, to be honest, I would say Charlotte or Philly would be my guess.
Yeah.
All right.
I think everybody's, I think it's going to be Charlotte. Like you said, Cool, there's 2 games left, so they could move up, but I don't think they will. I think they kind of want to play us too, just because we don't like them and they don't like us.
It would be a fun series at the very least.
That makes for a great playoff series. That absolutely. We know the atmosphere at LCA will be insane. Ku will be there. Lindsey will make his way out there as well. I found the one that I was looking for from Beast 1373. What were our favorite games so far this season? I want to go first because the game, and we haven't been doing the squad show all season, obviously, but after that late win at home over the Lakers, I saw a different side of Lindsey Hunter talking mean smack. And that was, selfishly, that was pretty funny. But I love the way Duren locked up Luka at the end of that game. And I was thinking when we were rapping about that, I was like, man, this is cool hearing Lindsey Hunter going off on the Lakers and talking that talk.
They may be out. The Lakers may be out first round.
Yeah.
They were out first round last year, so it won't be nothing new.
My favorite game would be CADE's game against the Knicks. That was a crazy that he was doing something nasty to them. he was taking them out back, man. It was tough. It was tough what he was doing. That was that's probably my favorite one.
That's that Knicks Pistons talk has always been like, because they beat us in the playoffs, and New York was supposedly the favorite to come out of the East this year. Everybody was hyping, talking New York up, and then we smacked them in the face and we took over first place. Nobody was expecting that. So, but my favorite game still was the Laker game without CADE.
Right
that
on.
Was a
right?
good game. It definitely was.
And the Lakers, I think, did everybody play for the Lakers that night? Yeah,
I think they were missing maybe one main person, but I'm pretty sure they had Reeves, Luka, and Bron.
Yeah, they had Bron, Reeves, and Luka.
In the middle of when they were rolling too. Like that was when everyone was like, "Oh, they're here. They're contenders." Luka's MVP.
I watched them play, and I'm like, yeah, they were winning games, but they couldn't guard. They couldn't guard a tin can. They were awful.
Lindsey is one of my favorite things is that Lindsey is now found, I think, at least 5+ different ways to say something the Lakers couldn't guard. I think we've got can't guard water. I think we've got can't guard a sitting chair. Can't guard a can. We've got something about some paper towel. Oh, they were soft as Charmin.
Yeah.
But everybody talks them up like, oh man, and okay, we know Luka's he's a monster. He's talented. But I'm never going to get on the Luka train because he just don't even try on defense.
Right.
And you see what OKC did to them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they was,
annihilation.
It was a demolition job for sure.
It looked like OKC were playing against a bunch of cones on the other end.
No doubt. Yep. And they still kept Luka in down 50, and he pulled his hamstring. So
not great.
Not great. No. All right. This one's from Rocco 2017. Saw Sasser got some garbage minutes last night. Who do you think is not going to get any minutes in the playoffs?
I did my playoff rotation yesterday on the pod, and it was controversial. A lot of people were very upset with my bring some
rotation. Of that controversy to the squad. No, we need it.
I had the starters. Obviously, you got Cade, Duran, Asar, Tobias, Duncan. That's 5. I think the most they go is 10 deep. I don't think they go 11 deep consistently. I think that you might get like 11 guys that play throughout a series, like maybe one game someone else doesn't play and someone else does. But within a game, I don't think they'd go farther than 10 deep. So the guys I went with was Herter, Stu. Let me make sure I don't forget. I don't want to make sure I'm not forgetting somebody. Herter, Stu, Danis, Karras. That's 9. Because I think JB has shown us that he's going to – and Karras has been actually playing fine the last 5 years.
He's been playing. He's been looking pretty good.
So Karras, and then I thought the last spot would go to Javonte because he's shooting so well on corner threes, has been so good off ball. So I don't have Ron in the rotation, and that's what really upset people. So maybe you guys do, but I think because we know Karras is going to be in the rotation and Danis is going to be in the rotation, you need Stu, that's 8. Herter has been so good, you have to play Herter.
Yep.
And I think the last spot, if you could go with Ron for the last spot, but I think Javonte being able to shoot as well as he has and how much of an impact he also has had on the defense, I think that I think that's just where JB will lean, in my opinion. So that was the rotation I made.
Ooh, you have stirred up controversy in the chat.
Yeah.
Are they losing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was. They were very unhappy. A lot of the listeners were very, very loud about it.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing in the playoffs. Like, we love Ron Holland. We think Ron Holland he's gotten better and better. But man, it's going to be tough to like you said. Reed's been playing well. I mean,
I was going to say.
We didn't even talk about him.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have. But I agree with you though. The shooting could be a trump card, and obviously that's just not an area that Ron is able to bring to the table. But wow, yeah, the comments. I'm trying to keep up with the comments.
They're going nuts.
I don't even see it because I'm scrolled all the way up. I have two questions like tagged. I'm trying to keep up with, but I see that the comments are constantly going up and up and up. So I must have upset everybody.
That's all right. We're telling the YouTube algorithm that this is an active chat chat. So bump us up. Let's get those numbers up, right? Cool, get that rev up.
Yeah, right.
But you got one tag that you wanted to go to?
Yeah, there was one for Lindsey I saw earlier from Omnipo. It said, hey, Lindsey, do you think the Pistons still need any more three-point shooters, or is our defense enough for high-scoring teams?
Yeah, I mean, you could always use a shooter. Everybody wants, but I think we're fine. I think the way our team is constructed right now, we're built to deal with teams that are like, high-powered teams. You saw, look, we were toe-to-toe with OKC without CADE, toe-to-toe with them. Like, and I don't want to hear about I think one of their starters were out.
Hardenstein, I think, was gone.
Yeah. So we went toe-to-toe with them. So I think we're built to deal with teams that are, high volume 3-point shooters.
100%, man. I'm getting amped. Everybody in the chat's getting amped. The hair on the back of my neck, the goosebumps, everything like that. 2 games away from postseason basketball, but the penultimate regular season game against the Hornets, followed by the finale against the Indiana Pacers, both on the road. We will be back on Tuesday, and you got the Everydayer Club with Koo. Does such a great job with that. Make sure you sign up for that for your ad-free audio experience, fellas.
Do we have a second?
Oh yeah, of course we do. We're ahead of the game.
There was one question I saw that I think Lindsey, I really want to hear Lindsey's perspective on. I can't find it. I might have passed it, but I remember saying, here it is right here. It's from BBQ and Beard. Yes, this one right here. Lindsey, he asked, what do you think was the main reasons Ben left and went to the Bulls as a free agent? And I want to add my own question. What was the feeling like when Ben left and went to Chicago?
Look, if I told you what,
I mean, we're gonna get deep. That's like who's getting deep on the final right before the bell's about to ring.
If I told you why Ben left, I would have to send somebody after you. That's P112 classified.
Fair enough.
And I was with him that summer. We were hanging out, playing ball, working out together that summer. And I just remember it was crazy. It was craziness going on. And let's just put it this way. He was never coming back to Detroit, even if he wanted to.
So fair enough. Since we don't want you to reveal and potentially get SWAT knocking at my door, but I'll ask, what was the feeling like when he left? What was the feeling like amongst everyone?
Man,
was it like
devastated? Like everybody was like, "Oh."
Did everybody know that? Like feel the same way as you? Like you knew that he's not coming back. Did everyone on the team know? Yeah, he's probably gone, or was it like a shock?
No, everybody didn't know.
Oh no,
everybody didn't know. I was kind of on the inside, so I had the inside scoop, and I was like, "Oh, this is so messed up." Like because you remember there were things said in the media about, I think that's the Larry Brown turmoil had happened, and it was just a lot of mess going around. And Ben said some things, and at the time, Bill Davison never liked any of his players to go in the media and say, speak out against whatever. And after that happened, man, Mr. Davison pretty much was like, "Hey, we're done."
Tough.
Dang.
Well, at least he was able to come back and retire here. That's what's crazy. The tough part about it is that the most memories I have of Ben is when he came back as number 6. that's the most memories. I have memories of him with the afro and everything, but the most memories I have, I can point out specific games, was when he came back for the his final stretch.
Yeah, I've got a quick anecdote on that. I just never forget where we were in the summer playing basketball. My younger brother found out crocodile tears, man. And that's when I was like, you can't cry. And then we started yelling at each other. And so that caused turmoil with us. And no, man, it was that just that team was just heart and soul. And obviously he was just such a iconic figure and part of that team. But man,
well, he was the backbone, man.
No doubt.
A lot of people I forgot where I was. I was arguing with somebody about it. I always seem to get into arguments with people about stuff. But we were arguing about, they were like, Chauncey. I was on a nut somewhere. Chauncey was more important than Ben, and Ben is not. I'm like, bro, no. Ben was our backbone. Like, Ben was so good defensively. Like, you can't even understand how much of a presence defensively he was until you out there and you go, okay, this guy's different. Like, this guy is different. Like, he did things some nights. I was like, we be looking at each other like, you see what he just did?
Lindsey, was it true that is it a true story that he had a headband as an armband on his bicep?
2 of them.
Was it really not just a regular band? Was it really actually a headband he had to put?
Yes. Dude used to lift weights, man, every day.
Jacked.
Just go and bench press. Every day. Being like, man, it's not that much weightlifting in the world.
We got Arnie Kander, and now we got Ben Wallace. 2 people we got to get on the pod. Arnie Kander and Ben.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get on.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Good stuff. As always, man. Appreciate you guys so much. Appreciate all of the listeners, commenters, live audience. If you missed the live show, it's available wherever you get your podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network, #1 podcast network. And my thanks to 2-time NBA champion Lindsey Hunter and the host of Locked On Pistons, Khahil. We will be back with you on Tuesday.
Peace.